Hey students, this is lesson 3-4, solving multi-step inequalities. So we're going to put it all together, all the properties of inequalities, and solve multi-step inequalities. Go ahead and do this vocab. I'll check back with you. All right, so using more than one step, we're just going to use the properties of inequalities just like we would use the properties of equality. Keeping in mind, of course, that signs do reverse if you multiply or divide by a negative along the way. So to solve this, we're going to use the subtraction property of inequalities first. We end up with 3t is greater than 9. We don't have to reverse the inequality there because we just subtract it. Adding and subtracting never reverses the inequality. Divide both sides by 3 and we get t is greater than 3. Again, we did not have to reverse the sign because we divided by a positive number. So the solutions are any number greater than 3. Now just to check that quick, check our endpoint, which is 3, make sure it's equal at 3. So 3 times 3, that should equal 15. And that's 6 plus 9, and that does equal 15, so we're good there. And then we're going to check one number that's in our solution set, so some number greater than 3. So you can pick any one you want. I'll just try 10. 6 plus 3 times 10, make sure that's greater than 15. And that's 30 plus 6, which is 36. That's definitely greater than 15. All right, you try it. All right, we're going to write and solve a multi-step inequality to represent this problem. So we have a rose bed that's next to a deck. The length of the deck is 14 feet, and you have at most 44 feet of fence. What are the possible widths of your rose bed? So let's say this is your deck right here, and it says your deck is 14 feet long. And then you have some roses in here. This is your deck. This is your roses. And we want to know what widths we can use, so I'm just going to label that W for width. So what I need is fencing that's 14 feet long plus my 2 widths. So 14 plus 2 times W. And that, I have at most 44 feet. At most means less than or equal to. All right, and then we'll solve it. Subtract 14 from both sides. And that gives us my 2 widths must be less than or equal to 30. Dividing by 2 tells me that my widths must be less than or equal to 15 each width. So we're going to say my width is at most 15 feet. All right, I'll let you try that. All right, we're going to use the distributive property here first. The distributive property can be used on any expression, so it's not going to affect the inequality symbol. So let's multiply the 2, distribute that in this problem, so we end up with this. And then like any equation, if we were trying to solve it, when you have an inequality, you just want to simplify as much as you can. We have some like terms here. We can combine those and just make it 5t minus 2, and that has to be less than 2. Let's add 2 to both sides. And we get 5t must be less than 4. If we divide both sides by 5, we get t is less than 0.8. So our answer has to be less than 0.8. And the only possible choice there, less than 0.8, is 0. All right, you try it. All right, what are the solutions here? We notice we have a variable on both sides, and when that happens, we want to isolate the variable. In other words, get rid of it on one side. We can do that by subtracting 7n from both sides. And now we have negative 3n plus 2 is less than negative 13. Now let's subtract 2 from both sides, and then we get negative 3n is less than negative 15. Then we divide by negative 3. Now, remember when you divide by negative, the sign will reverse, so we're going to put greater than now. 5. So any number greater than 5 should be a solution. This one I better check because we did quite a bit to change it. So my endpoint 5 should make it equal. So 4 times 5 plus 2 should equal 7 times 5 minus 13. And that's 20 plus 2 is 22. And 35 minus 13 is also 22. So that's good. I got the right endpoint. Now, to make sure I have the right direction, I should choose a number greater than 5, like 6. So I'm going to do 4 times 6 plus 2, make sure that's less than 7 times 6 minus 13. That's 24 plus 2. And that's 42 minus 13. 24 plus 2 is 26. Is that less than 42 minus 13 is 29, so that does check. So I'm pretty confident I got the right answer. Go ahead, you try that. All right, problem 5, solve each inequality. Check out what happens when we try and solve these. All right, I'm going to do B first here. So if I solve this, I notice I have like terms here. I'm going to combine those first. 9 minus 5 is 4p plus 6. All right, and let's say I want to subtract 4p from both sides. Then I get 3 is greater than 6. That is false. When that happens, you have no solution. All right, and the second one here, I'm going to try that. I'm going to use the distributive property first. So 2 times 7 is 14, and 2 times 3 is 6. And I think I'll add 6n to both sides. And then I get 14 is less than or equal to 14. Well, 14 is less than or equal to 14. So that's true, and when that happens, that means any number will work. So it's like an identity. All right, go ahead and try problem 5 here, or problem 19. All right, you should have found there's no solution for that because you get a false statement. Go ahead and do the lesson check and be ready to share that in class tomorrow.